So I mentioned this a few months ago, and probably even almost like every week at this point, but the iPhone 13 is by far one of my most favorite iPhones that Apple has ever made, and I do think in this day and age, it has probably never been a better time to actually own an iPhone like this than right now. Now, the first thing I want to say is a full review of this thing is coming out this year. There's been lots of thoughts I've been having, but at a high level, I still think the iPhone 13 is probably one of the better iPhones you can own, and even though this thing doesn't have all the bells and whistles as something like an iPhone 13 Pro and especially the iPhone 14 Pro, I think this iPhone, even the iPhone 13 mini, are solid devices for sure, and they have a bunch of capability without a doubt. Now, I want to state one of my favorite things that Apple does usually is that they continue to sell some of the older iPhone models even after they've been pretty much discontinued. So although the iPhone 14s are out and maybe even the iPhone 15s are going to be coming out later this year, what tends to happen is that Apple keeps their cheaper budget-tier phones a little bit later on. So in this case, they're still selling the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 mini, and by the looks of it, that iPhone is also probably going to drop down $100 next year, and is probably going to drop down another $100 potentially the year after that. And I say that to say the iPhone 13 is probably still going to be sold by Apple maybe for the next 2 or 3 years. Now, this is really good because when you own an iPhone like this, typically the resale value of these iPhones that Apple sells brand new typically hold their value better than maybe some of the used market iPhones. So what I mean by this is, if you take a look at an iPhone 11, Apple was still selling that last year at $499. Because of that, there were still lots of iPhone 11s being sold for around that price tag. Usually it was around like $300 something, but those iPhones tend to keep their value better than, let's say, something like an iPhone 11 Pro, which may depreciate a lot more in the used market because there's no way to kind of see what it's available for in the brand new market, besides, maybe comparing it to an iPhone 11, but even then, that's not quite the case. So that was something else that I really do like. It maybe isn't as great for somebody who wants to buy a used iPhone 13, but it tends to keep their prices a little bit higher, especially if you're wanting to resell them in the used market. That might be something you want to consider. Now, on top of that, I will still say the performance of this phone is great. The camera of this thing is great. And another amazing thing is that when you look at the iPhone 14, pretty much the same exact chipset, but when you look at the iPhone 15s that are going to be coming out this year, not the 15 Pro, but the standard 15, another cool thing is that, for better or for worse, that phone is probably going to have the A16 chip inside of it. That is only one generation newer than the iPhone 13's chipset. Although it's, a big difference and whatnot, that is also something that is very interesting to think about, that although the iPhone 13 is 2 years older now, it's not really going to have that much of a dated chipset compared to an iPhone 15. So those are some of my thoughts, and I still think it's a great time to own one of those types of iPhones. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.